Yes, this is Sergeant Dobbins, Tacoma Police Department. Yeah, no worries.
He is 036 about 4, he is 364.
Okay.
More ones, I think he's the only one downtown.
Border policy and stuff, and,
Yeah, that was probably a deep conversation.
He is 364.
it was kind of, I feel like I was teaching more than anything. You just listening to me, and I was like, but usually I won't talk politics, but, I don't know rules. But, I'm a very, passionate person, so, if, it comes up, I'll tell you the truth and the facts of what I learned, and really help you put it in perspective correctly. But anyway, not with respect to you and your time, you're probably on duty right now, and I appreciate you, and thank you very much for calling. Thank you for your service. You said this is Officer Dom?
No, this is Sergeant Dobbins, Tacoma Police Department, my friend.
Dobbins, sorry, just one moment, please.
Yeah, no worries.
Okay, let me... And just for reference, before we start our conversation, sir, how do you spell your name?
It's D as in David, O as in Ocean, B as in boy, B as in boy, I as in Idaho, N as in Nancy, S as in Sam.
Okay, and badge number, please?
265.
265.
Yep.
65, yes, sir. Thank you, officer.
You're very welcome. And just so you know, I am audibly and visually recording this conversation, just so you're aware.
Is something going on?
No, I was just calling you in regards to a complaint that you had filed against an officer, and so I just wanted to get your side of the story.
Which, was it a detective or the patrol officer?
No, it was a patrol officer.
Okay.
It was regarding a traffic accident you were involved in back in January.
Okay.
And so I was calling, I was just told that you had a complaint about the officer, and so I wanted to see if you could tell me what your complaints were.
So you're calling on behalf of the internal affairs, or?
Yeah, I'm calling on behalf of you wanted to report our complaint, so I just wanted to get your side of the story.
So I did already give my side of the story to internal affairs.
Okay.
Do you have any questions about anything that I had stated in the report?
No, if you would, it says that you, as far as what I was told is that you didn't agree with the report.
Okay, yeah, and I don't have the report in front of me right now, but I did, have it in front of me with internal affairs, and I did read through some of whatever my concerns had been at that time. So, I can't, recall it all right now. We were on the phone with the report in front of me while it was fresh in my mind. So, like I said, it should all be in that internal affairs report. If you're saying that it's not, there's no specifics is what you're saying, so you'd kind of like me to clarify, is that what you're asking? Because I can pull up the report and look through it real quick if that's what you're asking.
Yeah, if you would like to, because I just want to make sure that you felt like due diligence was done and that your needs were met.
Okay, and just to clarify, it doesn't really specify anything in the internal affairs report, right?
It just says, stand by for a second.
Yep, and while you're doing that, I'm already looking up the report while we're talking, so.
Okay.
But yeah, off the top of my head, I can, explain to you the situation, what had happened also.
Yeah, go ahead.
Hold on. Looking for the report real quick.
Yep.
9:17 p.m. Okay. Short nose desk. Okay, it looks like I found the report.
Okay.
Nope, no, that's not it. Never mind. Let's see, no arrest. Okay, this is it. No arrest, traffic collision. Yeah, so what had happened, and to try to be as concise as I possibly can, obviously I was in a traffic incident, as you stated, January 2nd. I was on Center Street driving home. I just went to the bookstore. I went and bought an air purifier with the half-price books by the mall.
Gotcha.
And thank you God, no one else was on the road except for me at that time. So I was on the main road going home, and this guy, he's driving, I would say about 120 miles per hour in a 30, and he's driving from a side road, and he drives right into the main road, and he's turning right. He's trying to turn into the road. I don't know how you can turn that fast without, going into oncoming traffic in the far left lane. There's no way he could have been driving that fast and made it into the right lane, know. But so anyways, he comes and he tries to turn into traffic from a side road going 120 and runs into the back right side and the back side of my cargo van. He was in a car.
Okay.
So the whole back bumper was completely ripped off right there. His whole front bumper was tore off. The whole front of his car, as well as the whole side of his car, was smashed into his tire. The nuts and the wheel and the rim of my tire were blasted off of the car. It was just a bare tire.
Okay.
With impact. He dented the whole thing about 3 to 5 inches in. It was like completely smashed in. So as soon as that impact happened, I mean, obviously I didn't know what was going on. It was just so hard, the force. The car did a complete 180 all the way off the road into, thank you God, it was someone's driveway at the bottom of a hill where the cargo van landed in a 180 off the road on the complete opposite side.
Yep.
And so I come to, and I'm looking around, and this guy's car's like in the middle of the road in a 180 also, and the dude's like, somehow he's just out of his car, just really, really energized, really aggressive, yelling, saying a lot of crazy things. Some of what I could make out was, he was, you did this to me, you ran into me, so I'm coming to, okay, this guy's, belligerent, he's blaming me for something he obviously did, he's not in his right mind. He's, flailing his body around, running around, has some blood on him. He looks like he's extremely high on some powerful stuff. I don't know what it is, but very, very serious danger alarm went off in my head, right? I put all these things together, what he was saying, what he was doing, what had just happened. I put 2 and 2 together, made 3. I run around to the other side. I get out of the cargo van after, I run around to the other side of it to gain some distance from him and really putting my bearings together still.
Okay.
And I think at some point, I look around, I got, the phone in my hand, call 911. I see people popping out of nowhere, cars that are just now driving through, few passersby. I've seen a couple people to my right, and they all got phones in their hands, calling the police. They're all looking at the crazy wild man running around the street screaming, right? And next thing I know, he runs up, throws my cargo van door open, swings it open, and he breaks into the car. He breaks into the cargo van, and he's just tearing at it. He's in the car now. He breaks into my car, and he's tearing away at it with his hands, just flinging his arms around. His head is just twitching fast with his eyes, just darting around looking for me with this really angry look, and he's screaming, saying all this crazy shit still. He, so he sees I'm not in there because he's like, what the heck's going on? How is he not, laid out in here for me to strangle right now, So he, thankfully I thought fast. Thankfully I didn't lose consciousness, or if I did, I was still there on a base level, to where my body was, because the adrenaline, my body was just keeping me up to keep me alive. Because if it wasn't, he would have killed me 100% right then after he broke into my car and was, right? So he runs back to his car. He's still screaming and stuff. I'm keeping my distance on the phone with the police still. I might have gotten off the phone at some point after, they're like, okay, we're on our way. So he runs back to his car, grabs a weapon in his right hand. I thought it was a gun, but it could have been a big knife or something else, right? So he grabs this weapon, and it's protruding out of his hand a good little, to where I could see he has, something used to probably kill someone with, right? It's not a phone, it's not an umbrella, like it's a weapon of some kind, right? I didn't know what it was. It's dark outside. But yeah, seriously, my first thought was, okay, he's got a gun for real, so I run away a little bit, because he's coming right at me now. So I run away, I get some distance, I get some cover just in case he starts shooting at me. I pull my gun out first, and which I legally own, and I run away, get some distance, and then he's still coming at me. I point my gun at him and I say, stop, I got a gun. And he keeps coming at me, so I got to run back farther, get back, to behind something just in case he starts shooting. I say, I got a gun, I'll shoot. And he says, kill me, I want to die. And he's still coming at me with this weapon that he's brandishing in his hand. I don't know what it is. But at this point, I'm like, oh shit, like he knows I got a weapon that's drawn on him. He's coming at me with a weapon, face to face. He's just walking up on me. He won't stop. At this point, it was like, okay, am I going to have to stand my ground right now? So I put my life on the line to not shoot him, and he could have just shot me and killed me right then. But I look back because I'm like boxed into this little like cul-de-sac on the hill with two homes, and it's just like a dead end up this huge hill with like sticker bushes and stuff. I'm like trapped pretty much. So I look at these two witnesses, which are right behind me, a male and a female, and I look at them and I say, man, please come into your home so I don't have to defend myself right now. And they said, yeah, you don't want to do that. Come with us. So I come with them. Thankfully, thank you, God. They allow me into their home. They seemed very nice. They could tell, that I was, like they knew I was just in an incident. That's why they were out there. And they told me, they said it sounded like an airplane crashed. That's how bad it was. So I said, wow, I don't know, obviously my adrenaline's pumping a mile a minute. I know that I'm injured, but I don't know the extent of my injuries because my adrenaline's going. It's masking whatever is going on in my body, right? So I call the police again and I say, hey, this guy's got a weapon. This is the house I'm in. It's right up the hill, right next to them. He's injured. Get an ambulance here. I was just in a serious accident. Also, I'm the victim here. You need to come. You need to bring someone here for me. Pretty much. This is the house I'm in. Come get me. Come get this guy. Right. So I call them. Witnesses are calling them, telling them the house that we're at. 10, 15 minutes go by. No ambulance, no cops. I call them again. Yeah, we know, we got your address. What's the address again? I talk to 2-3 different operators. I call like once every 10 minutes, I feel like, for half an hour, right? Speak with a different operator, give them the address, everything. The witnesses keep calling also, and they're like, we realize no one's coming at this point. So we see some lights, red and blues after around, 25, 30 minutes, I would say. And we were like, okay, it's probably safe to go down there, right? Because we didn't want to go out there and, if it was still going to be a situation where my life was on the line. So we go down there. The cops still aren't there, but the ambulance left. They took the perp and took off, and they were gone. And there was like one fire truck there, and they were packing it in. They were all in their cars. They had the engine on, and they were, kind of heading out as the cops showed up. So the witnesses ran down they were like, hey, what are you doing? Like, he's right here. Like, the victim is right here. And they were like, oh, we're sorry, the ambulance left already. So we're not going to call them. We're not going to take you to the hospital because we can't. We can take your blood pressure right now, but you can, if you want to, you can find your own way to the hospital if you want. If not, we don't know what to tell you because the ambulance left without you. They didn't come check for you. They didn't come to the door. They're gone. So the cops were showing up, or the cops were there at that point because they had showed up around, the same time we had come down, which was around a half an hour later. So the witnesses from upstairs were talking to the witnesses that were on the scene with the perp for the half an hour that we were gone, who were gathering information. They were all exchanging info with each other, and then they were all coming back to me and telling me stuff. the van was still, because the impact, the horn was honking, and so it was just really loud, and I was still trying to process and collect myself. My heart rate was like 150 over whatever at that point, which, they said was extremely high considering, the incident happened a half an hour ago. So I was like, uh-oh. So I talked to the cops when they arrived. I was talking to like some cops, but they were, well, at first, like when I got down there, okay, so this is what happened. There was I didn't get to take any like video or photos of the cars, before, because I was like, trying to save my life from this, like, from attempted murders with and without a weapon after he broke into my car and then ran at me with a weapon. He was, but and that was after he ran into my car going like 120. The cops said it was an excessively high rate of speed is what they said. They didn't say 120, but that's why I'm saying I put 2 and 2 together, and it had to be something around there. Just to clarify.
I don't mean to cut you off, Mr. Smith, but what is your complaint against the police? I appreciate you telling me the whole context of the story because I read the report. I want to know what is your complaint that you have against the police.
Well, firstly, while I was going around to the car to do a video, like this random woman runs up to me and she's like yelling curses at me, "Oh, you're a coward," and all this stuff, and you left the scene, you ran away, and she's like all up in my face, and I'm calling for the officers. I said, "Please leave me alone, officers, officers." I said, "Please don't approach me." And she's like just walking up right to my face, and I'm, so officers, they're all just standing there. They're not doing anything. They're just like, it's a good time for them. It feels like they don't say anything. They don't do anything. A witness has to come between me and this woman. I think she was like the perps, one of his women or something like that. Cause, she was like saying all this crazy stuff that wasn't true. And, and it was like, she was harassing me like right in my face. And I was like, "Please leave me alone. Please stop talking to me. I got it all on video for you." And the officers were just standing there. So a witness, like one of the witnesses had to get in between us and say, hey, lady, you don't want to do that. Just leave him alone. He asked you to leave him alone. Get away from him. And so I walk over to the officers, and that's where I encounter an officer, the one who took the report, who was just standing there. He wasn't doing nothing. He was waiting for me to come to him, which wasn't cool, especially because I was being harassed. I almost got assaulted. But so I tell him the whole story of what happened, just like I told you. And at that time, the witnesses are coming up to us, and they say, "Hey, the guys," we talked to the other witnesses. The other witnesses came up. They said the guy's name is Killa, is what he calls himself. His name is Killa. They said he's a gang member and a drug dealer. He lost all of his drugs. They said it looked like someone else might have been in the car, like he was planting and stashing his stuff after the incident. So I told the cops this. I said, yeah, all the witnesses said, he's a drug dealer who got robbed of his stuff tonight, that he's a gangbanger, and sounds like he said he's a murderer, and his name is Killa. And so I tell them all this stuff the witnesses are telling me. I don't know what else the witnesses told the cops, probably a lot more than what I knew. They just told me the basics. So I tell the cops what he did, and they said, "Oh, okay, well, it just sounds like a simple harassment charge, It sounds like, we can't charge him with anything because you don't know him. So because he doesn't know you, we can't charge him with anything. It sounds like harassment. You're not hurt, are you?" And they said, "You're probably going to be really bruised and sore for a little while, but yeah, that," and they pretty much said that's it. So I said, obviously I didn't agree with any of that, but I said, "Can I get a ride to the hospital? Because the ambulance just left me here, and, I don't have a ride." So they were like, "Yeah, we'll give you a ride," after I asked. And so get a ride to the hospital. Obviously, I'm there all night. And so I see the officer at my house, or at my apartment, a couple weeks later, the same guy. And at this point, I had already submitted documents within the first week from a doctor with a detailed diagnosis of spine, neck, back injuries to my private parts, to my feet, to my legs. You know what I mean? And it was very extensive. I submitted this through the Tacoma Police Department evidence portal within a week, and he's at my apartment, and I said, hey, officer, like, you know, are you here for me or something? He said, oh, no, I'm here for something else. And so I'm like, hey, you know, I submitted some evidence to you, and, you know, since then it's been transferred to a detective. And he was like, oh, yeah, you know, it's just a basic, like I said before, we're not going to do anything. It was just a basic, it was a car accident. And it's just harassment. That's it. We're not going to do anything. And he just says the same thing again a few weeks later. Okay. So I call, obviously I'm calling Officer Darland at this point. So that was, oh yeah, but regarding the report itself that he took, obviously that was one of the issues, the fact that, you know, he just put harassment. They just let the guy go.
Okay. Do you now? Let me clarify some things. So your whole interaction with this officer was on video, and I did watch the video, and so as far as charging is concerned, let me kind of explain things to you. We go based off stories. Police officers don't charge. We just write up reports and we send it off to the prosecuting attorney's office, and they decide what charges get actually filed. So just to kind of clear that up for you as far as charging is concerned, and then based off the diagram, I mean, and the story that you were telling the officer as I was watching the video. His diagram was accurate based off what you had told the officer, because at first you said he came off the side street, and then at one point you motioned like he had rear-ended you, but then you said
I motioned like he had rear-ended me. Come on, man, like that.
I'm just explaining to you what I saw on the video.
So he didn't. So okay, I told him that he came out of a side street.
Uh huh.
That should be that. I told him
that he came out.
Yeah.
So you're agreeing with he came out the side street, because you've said that to me also. So he came out the side street when you were traveling. I think it was eastbound on Center Street.
Well, I don't understand what you're getting at here. Like, I mean, I'm not sure what you're fishing for here, but
I'm not fishing for anything. I want to get to the root of how I can solve your complaint with the officer.
No, because it sounded like you're fishing for something, because you said you said it looked like I motioned like he came from behind me or something like that.
And I said based off the video evidence that I saw, your interaction with this officer, at one point you gestured like you were hit from behind after you said he came off the side street. Maybe that was because of the adrenaline that took over your during the course of the accident.
I don't know what you're talking about. No, I mean,
okay.
I know what I told him, and I know what the facts were, and he could see with his eyes.
Okay. No, and it
damage, and you know.
I saw the like I said, I saw the video, and I saw that your car was pushed way over to that other side street, and it was like you said, a full 180. But I just want to clarify and just make sure that I can take care of the complaint that you have with that officer.
Well, what you were talking about, though, was you were saying something about how charging works, and you were saying that they did or did not do something because of how you said that I, like, motioned.
No, I'm saying with the charging thing, because you were saying that he was just let go and it was a harassment thing, and you feel like it should have been more.
He was just let go, and it does say in the police report that it was just harassment.
Yeah, no, it does say that in the police report. I'm not denying that, but as far as him just being let go, he was actually taken to the hospital. So when you said that at the beginning of our conversation that the hospital or that the ambulance just left instead of tending to you, they actually took him to the hospital, which is standard protocol if somebody's in an accident. When the officers showed up, had you wanted to go immediately to the hospital, they would have asked for another ambulance to come and take you directly to the hospital. Now, I'm aware that the officers, after they gave you a courtesy transport to your house, you were also given a courtesy transport to the hospital.
So why didn't they just call another ambulance for me?
Because at that point, you hadn't specified to them that you wanted one right now. After they took you to the hospital, in the video, you are shown as saying, yeah, I think I'm going to go to the hospital. And the officer's like, well, how about we take you versus you having to pay an exorbitant amount of money to go to the hospital. We'll just take you, get you to the hospital so that you get checked out by doctors.
Well, I obviously don't agree with how it was handled on the scene, you know, with them.
And that's what I want to get to the bottom of, and I want to try to explain some of those things to you.
And you kind of make my point with that when they say instead of calling for an Uber or something, let us take you, instead of them saying, hey, you know, you're just in a serious incident, let us, you know, call an ambulance back here. If they just left you, they shouldn't have done that, right? Instead of saying we can take you instead of an Uber, you know. But
instead of
no,
what do you mean? What do you mean instead of an?
You know, the fact that the ambulance just took off, you know, without me is, you know, that was a separate issue aside from the officer and the report.
Yeah, and that's a as far as like we're not in charge of the ambulance people. That's a fire department thing. But my hopes in calling you is to get to the bottom of your complaints with the officer. You still there, Mr. Smith? Mr. Smith? Mr. Smith, are you still there? What in the world happened? Call this guy back. What happened? Let's see. 253. Let's see. No, 253. 253. 9083. Hello, Mr. Smith?
Yeah, I could hear you.
Okay.
Hello, are you still there? And then you hung up.
Okay, yeah, I didn't. It's like I could kind of hear your voice was super faint. I don't know what happened to the connection, but yeah, I just want to make sure that I was still talking to you.
So regarding the report, aside from the other issues which I had explained, so I'm looking at the report right now, and it does say, if you look on page 10, it says Unit 2 declined medical aid on scene.
Okay, let me see.
That's inaccurate.
Let me see something.
Page 10, under narrative.
Hold on. Let me see. I have page 7. Vehicles. Give me. Okay. Let's see. At the top of the document that you have, does the incident number say 2400-202-015?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, are you looking at
Page 10, or it says on the document I got, it's the second to last page. The last one is the diagram.
Okay, that's what I needed to know.
So it specifies me as Unit 2. Unit 2 had major. No. Okay, Unit 1 collided with Unit 2. Okay, what? It says Unit 1 collided with the rear of Unit 2. And then, see, they got it all mixed up. Look, Unit 1 collided with the rear of Unit 2, specifying that I'm Unit 2. And then it says Unit 1 had damage to the rear of his vehicle. Unit 2 had major front end damage to his vehicle. So it says I'm Unit 2, and then it says I'm Unit 1, And then it says I'm Unit 2 again because it says Unit 1 was transferred to St. Joseph's Hospital with injuries to his head. Unit 2 declined medical aid on scene, which is not true. So it says 2 lines up, while Unit 2 traveled eastbound, Unit 1 collided with the right rear of Unit 2. Hold on, let me reread that. With the right rear of Unit 2, okay.
Yeah.
Unit 1 had damage to the, so, I mean, it says I'm Unit 2, then Unit 1 had damage to the rear right of his vehicle. So it says I'm Unit 2, then I'm Unit 1, and then it says he's Unit 1 because it says Unit 1 was transported to St. Joseph's after Unit 1 had damage to the rear of his vehicle. So obviously it keeps mixing up the numbers, like I'm Unit 1, then I'm 2, then I'm 1, then I'm 2. It's like, no, I was Unit 2, and so obviously that was corrections that needed to be made because it didn't make any sense. Okay. And then obviously it says I declined medical aid on scene because it then brings it back to me being Unit 2, which that's not correct. And you admitted that earlier. So, and then it says it should be noted that from this narrative is the information that Unit 2 gave on scene, clarifying that it does list me as Unit 2 again. I was not able to interview Unit 1 because he was gone before I arrived at the collision. Both vehicles were towed by Bill's Towing. No traffic citations given. So in an instance, if someone drives into oncoming traffic going at an excessively high rate of speed, do you usually just not give any traffic citations for that?
No, a citation should have been given.
A citation should have been given.
Yeah.
Which it was not. Okay.
So
thank you very much for that as well. So that whole thing is obviously you can see just with that one part, right? That whole thing is not right. So,
yeah, it's convoluted. But and again, like I was mentioned to you before, in the video, it shows that Officer Guest asked you if you like medical aid, and you said no, not at this point. But then you guys talk for a little bit longer, and then Fire does come over and check you out. I don't know what Fire had actually asked you because Officer Guest walked away while Fire was talking to you, because that's, you talking to Fire, that's like patient confidentiality. Then he comes back to you, and I don't know if you had told Fire that you didn't want medical aid or that you did, but if you told Fire that you did want medical aid and they didn't get that for you, then that's a Fire issue.
And I think they were just really talking about, like, are your bones broken right now? Like, can you stand and walk and talk with us? And I said, yeah, I can do that right now, right?
Uh-huh.
But no, I do appreciate you clarifying that if I did state that I wanted to help, and you did admit, like, oh, you want to go there? Like, instead of getting an Uber, like, we can take you, right?
Yeah.
But obviously, I needed to go to the hospital. I told them, okay, my adrenaline's pumping right now. I know how this works when you're in an incident. And they were like, yeah, you're probably going to be banged and bruised up and all this stuff. So,
yeah.
I mean, I already told you all this before, but I mean, I know you're trying to, be like, oh, like, like we would have called you an ambulance, but Fire didn't call you an ambulance, and it's their fault. But so.
Well, I'm not classing blame. I'm just saying what should have happened.
So that whole portion of the report as you've seen is completely incorrect. Anyone can see that, right? So let's see, from the diagram below it, I mean, and it does list, obviously, it only lists a side impact for the car. Mm-hmm. And it looks on this diagram like it was a four-way street, which I don't think it was. I think there were just buildings right there, and I think he would have killed himself if he didn't run into my car. Okay. And thank God there wasn't a car going in the opposite direction, or, that would have been a real, real bad issue. Imagine if it wasn't me in the car and it was a family. But regardless, yeah. Mm-hmm. I don't know if that was a four-way street. I think that was just the two-way going from side to side, and then that intersection from the side road going into it. So he wasn't going straight. As you can see from the damage to his vehicle, because he had damage not just on the front, but the left side of his vehicle, and it wasn't just major damage to his vehicle, it was major damage to mine. And it wasn't just side damage, as it states in the report. It only says, oh, the side of my car was damaged. It was the entire back was ripped off of the car. He ran into the whole back side as well.
Okay.
That's why the car was pushed forward. If he just ran into the side, it would have spun. It wouldn't have gone forward, a half a block into the, like you said, a good distance,
yeah,
all the way off the road, right? So, I mean, it wasn't specifically, correctly listed as to what parts were hit. The extent of the damage to my car just says his car was totaled majorly.
Gotcha.
Yeah, and if you look on, not page 9 of 12, vehicle number 2, and it just lists on part number 4. It doesn't list part 5 where it was impacted also.
Okay.
Vehicle number 1, it just lists front, it doesn't list part 5 where the vehicle was impacted also.
Can I provide some clarification for you?
Say again?
Can I provide some clarification for you?
No, if you have something to say, you're welcome to speak.
Yeah, no, I just want to make sure I'm not over talking, and that's why I asked, can I provide you some clarification? If you look at the diagram, it says not to scale. So that is not going to be like a Washington State Patrol full on Google document to scale. That's why we put not to scale, because yes, Center Street is 2 ways going east and west, but it's not going to be specifically to scale. That's why we put that in our traffic documents and our traffic accident reports, that it is not to scale, just to provide some clarification for you.
Well, thank you for clarifying. I'm looking up the report now, because that was another thing that was an issue for me, not just the initial, all those inaccuracies and the 1212, saying that you're like, oh, like you declined it and then he wanted it, but it only lists that I did, but anyways, so going on, let's see, I'm on page 7 right now.
Page 7 of which document?
Of the police report.
Okay.
Let's see, I'm on page 6 and 7. Let's see. Hawkins was advancing on Mrs. Smith. He felt like he was going to be murdered from Hawkins and was in fear for his life. Well, Hawkins was advancing on Mr. Smith. He pulled out his firearm, pointed at Miss Hawkins. Smith yelled at Hawkins to stay back. Hopkins kept pressing forward, saying he doesn't care if he dies and to kill him. It doesn't say he had a weapon, doesn't say he was, it just says, oh, he's just walking towards him. Like, it doesn't say anything about what he was doing, what he had. No, it doesn't say anything like that. So that's, that's not right.
And to your admission, you don't know exactly what he had in his hand. So would you have liked the officer to put he had something in his hand? Because then I would ask the officer to be specific and trying to figure out what exactly was in his hand. Now, if you would have said if you'd have gave him a description of maybe a hammer or something.
I'd have told him exactly a description of what I thought was in his hand at the time. I told him all this. If you review the video, you'll see that I did tell him specifics to all this stuff. I said I thought it was a gun. He definitely had a weapon of some kind in his right hand, which was protruding out of. I told you. I did tell the officer that at the scene.
Okay.
Yeah, it doesn't say anything about any of that in the report. And it says, okay, so W. O'Neill was standing by and let Smith come into his residence. Thank you, God, for W. O'Neill, for them letting me come into the residence, 2828 S. Ainsworth, for his safety. So the witnesses let me come into their house for my safety. That's in the report, though.
Yep.
Right?
I'm reading that as you're reading it.
Big red flag right there. So, okay. So O'Neill did not see the collision, but saw the altercation after the fact. So the witnesses were telling the cops this stuff also. And it does say that my testimony is exactly the same as the witnesses. It says that they corroborate everything that I say. And we'll get to that in a second. It'll say that.
Okay.
I gave Wandell a written hand statement form, and he had filled out what he saw. I turned this form into the Tacoma Police Department. O'Neill explained the same story that Smith gave me. Officer Yee, and they didn't do anything like, oh, it's just harassment. He doesn't know you. No traffic citation, which you said they should have done. No, oh, he had a weapon. They didn't put it in the report. That, just this, that, the other. It's like, it's one thing after another in the report, and so it was, O'Neill was standing by, okay. Officer Yee went St. Joseph's Hospital to follow up with Hawkins. He explained to Officer Yee that he was homeless and thought Smith was going to kill him because he had a firearm with him. Hawkins also explained that he was traveling eastbound, which does not match the damage on the vehicles. And they still just let him go, even though he didn't make any sense. So it should be noted that Smith was very upset and wanted the police to arrest Hopkins for vehicular assault and attempted murder. I explained to Smith that this is a traffic collision, and I will also put harassment offense on the same report because he felt threatened for his life. Nothing further. So So obviously I explained to you all the issues with that. I'm going to keep looking up the report, up this police report to see what else there was on there.
Okay.
Those were also issues, you know, and thank you for admitting, like, hey, you know, they should have done this, they should have done that.
Okay.
Yes, I do see the errors, and it just says things that don't really make sense, unit 1, unit 2, whatever, you know.
Yep.
So on and so forth. So, okay, going up the report, was there anything else in the report that I've seen? It looks like it's no more written statements from the officers. It says, let's see, it's just a listing of the car in page 6 of 12 for the U-Haul. Page 5 is the Ford Fusion, or the, what is it? Not the Ford Fusion, Ford Fusion. And so I was wondering when I had read this, it says status and broken, damaged, incidental to collision, burglary, vehicle prowl. Is that just a general?
That is it. That is a general. That's one of the drop downs that it gives us.
Okay, so that's what I thought.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm on page 4 right now.
Okay.
There's my address and all my personal information on here. Page 3, it says that he's somehow, you know, he has car insurance, it looks like, and he has a car, but, you know, it states that he's homeless, but he has a phone and a phone number, and they just took him at his word and just let him go. Okay, so page 3 of 7, it says, and this was my other issue, which you already know, harassment, verbal threats only. You know none of that's true, and that the report's not accurately reflected in what he was doing and what really happened in detail, specifically, as not just myself stated, but the witness who let me into their home. And it states in the report, for my safety, they let me into their house. And it says, right, in spite of all those facts, it says, it's harassment, you know, just like he told me 2-3 weeks after when he walked by my apartment, when I told him, hey, I got evidence, you know, he's like, that I submitted to you. I told you before, man, it's harassment, dude. Just, you know, he didn't know you, so. But anyways, yeah, so that's another issue. Page 3, harassment, verbal threats only individual, right? So that's okay. So now we're going up to page 2. Hawkins was taken by ambulance, harassment, verbal threats only. Obviously, that's not correct. Homeless transient, supposedly, page 1. Wait, does it say what happened? So we're on page 1. Let's see. And I'd have to really give this a good look over later to, you know, but this is just brief. A brief just look through right now. There could be more to this that I had seen previously, which I'd explained to Internal Affairs possibly. But,
Okay.
but yeah, I'm on page 1 right now. So
Can I give you some more clarification? When people are taken to the hospital, there are times where we may or may not sit on them depending on what's going on and what the reason for them going to the ambulance or to the hospital was. So when you say he was just let go, he was let go to the hospital, but that doesn't necessarily mean he was let go. If he's going to be there for an exorbitant amount of time, then we're not necessarily going to sit on him.
You know, the officers actually told me when we were in the car together on the way to the hospital, they said that the perpetrator just checked himself out of the hospital, and they said, oh, he just left without signing any documents. Like, he was supposed to sign, like, medical release forms or something like that. They said, oh, he just left. So when you're talking about sitting on them, like, the officers were still there when the guy left. He didn't sign anything. They said he checked himself out when we were in the car together. So you're talking about, oh, they're not going to wait for him to arrest him if he's in the hospital. Well, they were actually there when he left, and he refused. It sounded like he refused treatment. Probably didn't want them to run his blood with all the possible drugs he had in it. I don't know.
The officers that you were with, or some other officers?
Yeah, the officers I was with. You should review the audio from their vehicle.
I did. They were with you. They were with you the whole time.
Yeah, that's what it sounded. Sounded like that's what they had said to me. Is that the perp was at the hospital. He refused to sign, the medical papers, and that he refused treatment or something like that. And he just checked himself out. They said.
Okay.
So that obviously. So thank you for your clarification, but that is what I have to say in response to that.
Okay.
So I'm still looking at page 1.
Page 1. That's just a face sheet.
Smith, no arrest. Okay, so obviously I have an issue with that. It says no arrest, traffic collision. So I have an issue with page 1 also because didn't arrest them.
Okay.
Non-electronic, reading down from there at this point. Yeah, Center Street where it happened, near Chandler.
That's the cross street.
Hate, bias, none, no bias. Street right away. Yeah, and also, now that I'm thinking about it, when I was, I forget which officer I was talking to when I think I was mentioning something to one of the officers when I was there, and then the officer just was like, this is my investigation, you know, like, you can talk to me, and like, I'm running this, and I'm handling this. And I don't like how he was, you know, and the other officers, which they looked to be a little, you know, bit older than him in season, and they were just looking and, well, he was, you know, like I said, when I was being harassed by the woman, they just kind of were just standing by, and, you know, I was trying to, you know, and, you know, the officer just, you know, or, you know, oh, this is my investigation, talk to me about this stuff. It's like, you know, I mean, I didn't really like how he was doing that, and that should be in the internal affairs report as well. You've probably seen that in the video also. So I'd say other than that, and then when I seen him a few weeks later after I submitted evidence through TPD, you know, so regarding that officer, and then he just had the same response. So
Okay.
Everything I had to say to you regarding the report, regarding the officer, as well as whatever's in the internal affair report. Yeah, thank you very much for speaking with me, for listening, for not cutting me off and yelling at me and threatening to hang up the phone on me. And, right, because when I spoke with the traffic division officer who the report was forwarded to, after calling him for 3 weeks, calling him, you know, daily, weekly, leaving many, many voicemails, hey, excuse me, I just got the report back from the emergency room. I just got the, you know, the diagnosis from my doctor, from my physical therapist. I need to submit this evidence to you along with my, you know, the other doctor and the chiropractor's evidence I submitted to Tacoma Police Department through the link within a week or less after the incident. And he'd never call me back. He only reached out after I called headquarters and explained to them what was going on. Everything I'd explained to you pretty much. And that Officer Darland, Sergeant Darland, or Detective Darland, I'm sorry, for that. You know, correct titles, I respect the titles. But that Detective Darland hadn't contacted me back, and it's been weeks, and she was like, you know, she was, you know, and all of a sudden, he's calling me later that same day, and I'm trying to talk to him while I'm at a chiropractic appointment, mind you, and my doctor says, hey, you know, if you want to talk to the officer, I'll go see some other patients. You come back in 10, 15 minutes, right? Mm-hmm. And so I say, officer, you know, they're very understanding here, even though they're very busy. I'm going to take time out of my healing right now, which I'm doing for my body after this serious incident, to speak with you on the phone. Right, and this stuff, you know, it's stressful. This stresses me out, and stress is not good for your body, especially if you're seriously injured, which I am. And so I go outside to talk with him, and I'm explaining to him what's going on, and he's just very, like, rude and unprofessional and argumentative. And it's like, no, you did get medical aid. No, you did this. No, you did that. And I'm just, you know, I'm like, sir, like, you keep cutting me off. And he's like, well, we'll get to the point for this, pretty much. Like, you know, and I'm explaining to him, getting to the point of something, and then he cut me off and say, well, what happened after this? And I was like, sir, just relax. You just interrupted me and cut me off. I was just getting to that. Like, you could even guess that I was going to say that, because that's how close I was to saying it before you stopped me, right? And so that's kind of how that was going. So I was explaining to him, you know, further what was going on. And he says, you know, something, you know, I'll hang up the phone on you. I forgot what he said before then, but it's like, stop talking or something. Or I forget what he said. There was a lot of cars going by outside, but he said very clearly, before I hang up the phone on you, is what he said. So at this point, you know, you're not taking my evidence, you're not taking my reports, you're not calling me back, you're being rude, unprofessional, you're cutting me off, and you told me that you're going to hang up the phone on me. And keep in mind, I'm just explaining everything that I explained to you. Mm-hmm. So at that point, and I apologize for saying this, I said, F you, and I hung up the phone on him.
Okay.
So,
well, I'm glad that you felt like you were able to talk to me because like I said at the beginning of the conversation, that my whole point was to get your explanation of how you felt, and I appreciate you being able to open up and talk to me about your concerns.
It's not just how it's not, I don't think any of that's how I felt. I'm just stating like the facts of what happened to you and how it was wrong.
Yeah.
And you can see that. I mean, and you know, it's in the report, right? It's on the video, and it's not okay. I mean, if we want to talk about how I feel, like, you know, I don't even want to talk about how I feel regarding that. I'm just talking to you about the facts.
Okay. And I will definitely take into account the facts, and I will write them down.
Yeah. So thankfully, when I called headquarters, I had someone send me a new evidence link because Darlin's traffic division, Detective Darlin, didn't. I had to call the headquarters to get one, so I was able to submit the rest of my evidence from the doctor from the emergency room. All of these were diagnoses, by the way: spine, back, neck injuries. Like, dude, this is like torture, like literally physically torture every day. This is not a joke, you know, this is like, but anyways, yeah, so I submitted all that stuff, the rest of the evidence that I had, other than the initial, very specific, very detailed, listed doctor's report from the chiropractors in the first week. I got all that sent to you within the past couple weeks. After the new link was sent to me, after I provided to headquarters, I called Internal Affairs. I had spoke with someone there, and I told them the situation, that I wanted to file a complaint and an investigation and such regarding the report, which you can, you know, and against the officers, the patrol officer, as well as the traffic detective, Darlin. So I'm not going to take up any more of your time this evening. I gave you all the information that I have, all the facts, all the evidence. I really do thank you for your service. I know it's not an easy job that you have, and you know, I do appreciate you for speaking with me and being professional on the phone, because not everyone is like that. So thank you.
You're very welcome, Mr. Smith, and I hope you have a good evening.
Yeah. So, lastly, before we get off the phone, I did requests regarding Internal Affairs, and I made a point to this, and they said I will note that right now, that I don't want a phone call regarding these. I want something official mailed to my house regarding the results of these Internal Affairs investigations.
Okay.
So I don't know if that's something I would need to discuss with you as well, but I did specify that with Internal Affairs, that I don't want a phone call. I want the results, you know, and everything in letters mailed to my home. And so this is your address, this is your phone number, yes, okay, I'm going to write this down right now. I said thank you very much, and have a good night. So I did want to let you know that as well.
Yeah, no, if that's what you communicated to Internal Affairs, then that's what you communicated to them, and this is all a part of their process. So if that's what you communicated, that was your wishes, I'm pretty sure they were trying to accommodate your wishes.
So is that what's happening though, or is it like, you know, am I just going to get off the phone with you and then no letter's going to be sent regarding an investigation? Like, I just want to make it, you know, make sure that, you know.
That's outside of my preview.
Okay, so are you the supervisor for the patrol officer?
I am a patrol supervisor.
Okay, so yeah. Well, it sounds like you're still on duty, so be safe, stay safe, have a safe shift. God bless you, and thank you for your service, sir. Have a good night.
You too.
Will do. Thank you.
Bye-bye.